Hello, everyone. I warmly welcome you to this short tutorial session on human geography. I believe that at the end of this session, you would have gotten a better understanding into what human geography is about. You may have heard it from different places, you may have read it in textbooks or come across it so many places. You may have been even taught in class, but we want to go over it so you get a better understanding. So what we are going to look at today is the concept of human geography. Basically, we want to understand what it is, and at the end of the day, we want to be able to apply the 5 geographic questions. I'm sure you're wondering what the 5 geographic questions are. You may have an idea. Well, let's see. We'll get our questions answered at the end of the slide. So our learning outcomes for this particular video is that at the end of it, our first outcome is that we should be able to clearly distinguish between physical and human geography. Secondly, we should be able to explain how they are interdependent, that is, how they work separately but together. We should be able to identify some fields in human geography. And finally, we should be able to apply the 5 geographic questions in a typical human geography study. What comes to mind when you see this picture? Well, for me, I see a world map with people inside, different people, different colors, different attire. That tells me that these are different people with different tribes, different cultures, different races, all in the world. How does this relate to human geography? Simply put, this tells me that human geography is more about how human beings fit into or how they are able to relate with the world. So human beings and their world. We will better understand it in the following slides. Let's look at some definitions of human geography. One professor at the Institute of Geography in Heidelberg University defines human geography as the science of the spatial organization of human action and the relationships between society and environment. Also, National Geographic, which happens to be a very good website where you can find important facts about geography. So if you want more information, you can go to nationalgeographic.com. So National Geographic also describes it as concerned with the distribution and networks of people and cultures on Earth's surface. Simply put, human geography is the study of the relationship between people and places. How different is physical geography from human geography? From this slide, we can see 2 different images or 2 different pictures. From the picture on our left hand side, which happens to be like a Venn diagram, we see 2 circles that are overlapping each other. On the left hand side, which is shaded in color blue, gives us the subdisciplines in physical geography, while the right hand side contains that of human geography. In the section for physical geography, we see things like hydrology, climatology, biogeography, geomorphology, meteorology, and pedology. A simple insight into these: hydrology has to do with the study of water and the water systems on the Earth's surface. Climatology has to do with the study of the climate. Biogeography has to do with the study of biodiversity, of nature, of plants, of animals, and how they react and interact in the environment, and the processes mainly that are involved. Then geomorphology has to do with the study of landforms. Meteorology has to do with the study of the weather. Pedology, on the other hand, has to do with the study of soils. Take a look at the subdisciplines on the right. We have social geography, cultural, economic, behavioral, political, and urban. Looking at these, what comes to mind? simply what comes to mind is humans, human beings. You see more of a human aspect than the left side. So from this, we can say that physical geography, it has more to do with the natural environment and the natural processes that surround it or that make up the environment. So, for instance, climate, like the climatic system, how clouds are formed, the natural processes, how we get rain, how the weather changes, what causes global warming, the natural and chemical aspects of it, the more scientific aspects. And then when you take the human geography, it has to do with human beings. Things so human beings, what they do or how their relationship with the environment is. So for instance, how geography influences economic activities of a particular area, how policies can affect geographies of places, and how geographies of places affect certain policies and the likes. So you can see that natural environment is more physical related, and then the human geography has to do with human beings relating with this environment or dwelling in this environment. The middle In the middle, you can see holistic synthesis, which simply means that these two work together. They have something in common. And what is this common thing? It has to do with the environment. So they both look at the environment, but one looks at the natural or the the scientific processes, the biological processes, and then the other has to look at how human beings relate with the environment. The second picture also gives us more insight into what human and physical geography is. So we see physical features, we see peaceful, that has to do with the ocean. We see a tree here, we see mountains, we see valleys. That's the physical environment. And that's simply what the physical geography studies. And then the human made features, we have roads, buildings, and the likes. So, after being able to make some difference out of the images, we want to look at want to go into detail or want to look further the differences between physical and human geography. So physical geography generally means the science of the Earth's surface, while human geography usually refers to the study of its peoples, geographical interpretations of economies, cultural identities, political territories, and societies. Also, physical geographers classify and analyze landforms and ecosystems, explain hydrological, geomorphological, and coastal processes, and examine problems such as erosion, pollution, and climate variability. But human geographers analyze population trends, theorize social and cultural change, interpret geopolitical conflict, and seek to explain the geography of human economic activities around the world. So the primary concern of physical geography is the natural environment, while human geography focuses on how people use and alter the environment. So this can be likened to the division of labor in a company. So for instance, in a manufacturing company, you may have a place where the raw materials are kept, you have where the production is done, you have where it is taken for packaging, you have a place where it is assembled for a warehouse where it is kept and assembled and taken for distribution. And at all these various places, you have people that are in charge of it. People have been assigned to various roles. But at the end of the day, the aim is to be able to work together to get the best product for the company, to be able to get one quality product. So likewise, you can look at human geography and physical geography in that same light, that they are not supposed to be two separate things. So the aim is not to create two separate geographies, but is to help in understanding and studying the various components of contemporary geography better. These two major branches work in unison. At the end of it all, the central idea is geography deals with the variations in space. Since human geography delves into the relationships that exist between humans and the environment, a different approach must be adopted in studying it. Unlike physical geography that entails the study of natural environment, one is more probable than certain. So studying the natural environment, there's a lot of certainty there because the processes don't evolve over short periods of time like how human beings are susceptible to change within the next second, within the next hour. Human beings, when you're working with human beings, it's more of probability. But with the natural environment, even if let's say mountains, you're looking at formation of mountains, you know that it takes some time. It takes quite a number of years. And if you're also looking at the climate like this, maybe you want to study climate change, you have to study it over a long period of time, 30 years and over. So in that 30 years, there's more of a static steady. There are more of that. The figures and things that you get will be alike. Unlike when you are studying something in the human geography or in the human context, where we have attitudes, we have mindsets, and all that affecting it. So that basically makes a difference between human geography and physical geography, and that is why we need different approaches in studying it. And that is why we have the two separately, even though they coexist, but they don't work on their own. Fields in human geography. Under human geography, we can have social geography, we could have economic, political, cultural, urban, population, medical, and historical. Now let's look at the 5 questions in geography, the 5 key questions that are asked in geography. So we have why, when, what, where, and how in geography. So these 5 key questions help us to know what exactly geography does. It is directly linked to geographic themes like location, place, human environment interaction, movement, and region. So taking a look at the where has to do with location or the place or the space, and why has to do with, it said, why is it there? So the motive or the reason for that particular location, or even maybe if you're studying a phenomenon, why it is happening in that location. Then looking at what has to do with the significance of the location, with what it is associated with, the consequences of the location, and its association. And we talk about when has to do with the time. That looks at the temporal aspect, the evolution of the location or a phenomena over time. And then how has to do with how the location came about, be it by natural means, be it by natural means, be it by man-made means, and the like. So we want to look at how these 5 geographic questions can be used can be used in understanding and studying a typical human geography phenomenon. So we want to look at population growth. So in studying population growth of a place, first of all you ask yourself the why. First of all you ask yourself where. So the where is the place or the space in which you want to study that phenomenon. Then what? What has to do with the phenomenon you are studying, which is population growth. Then when? So with population growth, the study is over a period of time, more like a comparative study. That is how come you be able to know that the population has increased over time. So you are looking at the time period, the time frame over a period of time. So let's say maybe 10 years from now, the population and the situation there, and then now. And how has to do with the things that are increasing the population, like what is causing population growth. So we can have things like immigration, that is migrating into a place. We can have high birth rates. We can have low death rates, maternal health care, like good maternal health care and the likes. And why has to do with the attractions, the things at the place, at the in that particular space or in that particular location that attract the people to the place. So let's say things like the climate systems, the natural environment, the availability of water, of other amenities, good health facilities, and the likes. I believe this has enlightened you better on what human geography really is about. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the link below. We shall continue in the next video. Hello everyone.